You should be excited
true.
for Kash Patel to be coming in. You should be excited that Kash
man.
Patel is going to come here and he's going to expose everything. He's going to a big, beautiful spotlight that's going to come down, a ray of sunshine that's going to enlighten all of us.
This is unbelievable to me.
You should be so excited.
It's unbelievable to me.
Join
Why
me
did you
in
pay so
excitement.
much lip service to the thing that is the grossest to me, that I hate that I've read anything about anything now at this point, is how much people like you are so willing to throw like our entire system, the entire Constitution, every part of what makes this country work under the bus for political points. How could you support a guy, Kash Patel? You're talking about how important it is to believe in the Constitution, freedom of speech. This guy literally has a book calling Donald Trump the king, and this guy has a list of political enemies that he wants to go under. Kash Patel, who's going to be our FBI director, and he's got people that he says he wants to go after legally. Before, I thought you guys were so mad about Alvin Bragg and so mad about Letitia James or whatever, that these people are calling investigations before they even get into office, but you're excited for Kash Patel to come in? That's insane to me.
I need to ask you a question on this.
Yeah.
What does omni-liberal mean? Because this is the least liberal position that you take that I can possibly imagine. Okay. I'm sitting here.
You're just to be clear, you're non-responsive to every single thing I just said, and now we can make random vague appeals to the Bill of Rights or whatever other bullshit we always do. We have nothing to say.
I'm not being not responsive at all. I want to be very responsive. I am taking the populist position, and you were taking the establishment position.
You're taking an authoritarian position, and I'm taking a constitutional position. Yes, just to be clear, you're an authoritarian. Yes.
How, in what way am I being an authoritarian?
Because you're celebrating
a
kingmaker. What do you mean? Of course you trust the government. You just said that you're celebrating Kash Patel coming in.
I'm hopeful.
When you say government,
I'm hopeful.
Just to be clear, so people
understand. What do we have today?
When you say government, you mean the left. You don't trust the left. When Donald Trump is in there, you trust. Name one thing that Donald Trump did or said that you didn't trust.
I didn't trust a lot of his decisions in COVID.
Okay, so the COVID stuff is the one thing. So you didn't like the vaccine. Anything non-COVID related?
I don't know. I mean, it's been 5 years since it's been 4 years since he's been in there.
He was the president for 4 years. He didn't do a single thing that you disagree with. Say a single thing you disagree with. You can't think of it.
Some of the things he said, I thought it was very awkward the way he phrased some of the stuff. I didn't like the phrasing there on some of the things. Look,
can you give any positions of his that you disagree with?
Most of his positions, I think he spent too much money. I think he brought the two critiques that I think are valid of Trump, the most two valid critiques of Trump. And this is the interesting time that we're coming to right now, which is, amongst MAGA, which I definitely identify as being MAGA. In MAGA, there is a split, which most of your audience probably is unaware of, which is that split is, do we trust Trump blindly or do we not, or do we question policy?
To be clear, that split doesn't exist.
You're wrong.
Everybody trusts Trump.
Quite the contrary. Then you haven't been reading my tweets, and I understand I'm not the same size that your channel is, but I'm saying right now, I've been critical. I think that when he's saying I don't want to have a debt ceiling, I was like, this guy spent more money than anyone. He's the one person who really needs a debt ceiling, and I disagree with him on that. With respect to some of his appointments, I think that there's all sorts of issues, and I had issues with Mike Johnson. I don't think Mike Johnson is someone I think that he's an establishmentarian. I think he's the perfect guy for you if you're pro establishment. And I think that, and I can recognize that there's shrewdness in saying that, look, it would have been way too big a hassle to try and find a different replacement who would gain enough support amongst the GOP in order to become Speaker of the House. But I think that as far as politically, the stances of Mike Johnson are so anti-populist, so anti-MAGA, that I think that he's distasteful. How
did you feel about the tax cuts?
I mean, the tax cuts, I know the left loves saying they were tax cuts for the rich.
I'm not asking about other tax. I'm just saying, because this is the thing. We'll say like, oh, well, I don't like his rampant spending. Did you support the tax bill? Of course I did. That was amazing. So it doesn't mean anything. It's meaningless. It's a meaningless criticism. I don't like the spending. It's just like a vague, random.
You're going back to 2017. And what I'd say is at that point, he was trying to jack up a stagnant economy, which had been stagnant since 2008.
That's not true at all.
100% true.
That, to be clear, that's by no metric and no measure is that even remotely true. What are you talking about? By what measure?
Did we have a growth year of 3% under Obama?
A growth year of 3%? I don't know for an entire year, but I know that from 2013 onwards, the economy.
You had a good month here and there.
You think just a good month?
I'm saying what I'm saying is we were growing at a rate of, I think I'm talking on top of my head and trying to think back now, 12 years. So my recollection is that it was basically like it was somewhere between 1% and 2% a year at best.
Sure, rebounding from a catastrophe.
Which rebounding should be better. Rebounding, that's the thing. Here's the thing. What happened? All the growth that we saw from Biden after COVID. after COVID, it's like all of a sudden this surge in employment, surge in economy, surge in everything coming back. Why? Because everything had been shut down, and now there's growth back. So you would think that it should have been rebounding even stronger under Obama, and yet it didn't. No one was happy. You keep thinking that everyone was like that. Everything was like really glory days. The reason Trump was elected the first time and the second time was purely because the left created this person they claim is a monster. You all created him.
Okay, so then for Donald Trump, you keep saying this like it's such a stupid point. You understand that you guys like created Obama and you guys created Biden by the same logic too, right?
No. How was Obama created?
Oh my God.
How was Obama created? How was Obama created by the right?
I mean, things like the Middle Eastern wars probably didn't help from Bush, right? Things like No Child Left Behind, things like the war on drugs.
No Child Left Behind is what created Obama.
Why did you just pick out one thing of three different things I just said?
I don't know. I'm saying that things that created Obama.
I'm saying that all of these things. I don't think a lot of people were very happy with Bush's presidency. I think that our
Bush
opinions.
was terrible.
I think that our opinions.
Bush was terrible.
Okay,
He was terrible.
What are we disagreeing on?
We're not disagreeing on that. Bush was a disaster. Awful. I hate Bush. You're never going to get me.
So what is it? So
you're never going to hear me
I know
praise
now
Bush.
because you guys all have to. It's part of the new marching orders.
It's
you have
not
to hate
part
every
of the new
old.
marching order.
It is. I understand.
And I'm going to tell you
I'm just saying that how then could you not say if everybody hated Bush, how did that not create Obama? What are you behind? Are you saying that like the Democrats literally created Trump? That like Obama in a test tube like bred Trump out of a lab? Or
are we having a real conversation here?
I can't tell. I'm not sure.
Obama changed the culture of this country in ways that we are still reeling from, and I pray one day we find a way out of. But I don't know how that's going to happen. And the way they changed the nature of this country is that Obama introduced a concept that if you disagree with me, it's because of who you are and the fact that you are genuinely an evil person. Prior to Obama, the perspective of most people in political discourse was, you love America, I love America. We have different visions as to what is healthy for America.
I think that statement alone could qualify you for like antipsychotic medication. You have never listened to any political commentary in your life if you think that prior to Obama, people like Rush Limbaugh, people weren't demonizing the Clintons, weren't talking about how evil the socialists, the commies were, the Democrats were. This was mainstream Republican political discourse across every single talk radio station, across all of Fox News. The idea that Obama created might be one of the most delusional things I've ever heard in my entire life. Go ahead.
You cut me off rather than actually hearing my point.
Okay.
My point is not as far as like talking about the political leaders. I'm saying talking about their supporters. I'm saying talking about there being tens of millions of racists in this country. That is a new position for a political leader to take that Obama introduced. And he did it in a very insidious way. He would never say they're racist. He would say, well, some folks aren't comfortable with people who are coming across the border or whose skin is a little darker than theirs.
You don't think politicians are making accusations of racism during like the civil rights era or?
So now we're going back to the 60s? You're saying that's okay because
well, you said
40
the
years
first
earlier,
time in U.S. history.
The first time in my recollection.
Okay, gotcha.
The first time in my recollection, we didn't hear the demonization. We didn't see the demonization. You never heard once Trump demonize tens of millions of people who vote against him the way we heard Biden echo when he gave that red hatred speech about how ultra MAGA is the biggest threat facing our country.
You understand that when Biden made that speech, that Biden literally said he wasn't talking about even a majority of Republicans,
I understand
right?
that.
Number one. And you understand that Donald Trump has made disparaging you know that Donald Trump is literally the guy, and I'm sure that you giggle along every time, who gives like political nicknames to his opponents, right?
Those
Donald
are
Trump's
individuals. Those are individuals.
Yeah, and you don't think that they represent the people
he'll
that
make a joke about Rosie O'Donnell, make a joke about Nancy Pelosi, he'll make a joke about Chuck Schumer, but that's not making a joke.
And he'll make comments about immigrants coming into the country, about wanting to ban Muslims coming into the country, about how he'll make comments about Venezuelans taking over apartments and Haitians eating cats and dogs.
So you think that when he said the Mexicans they're rapists, you think he was saying that all Mexicans are rapists? Is that how you interpreted
that?
So are you arguing in good faith now
I only
at
did
this
English
point?
in high school, but when you say some of them are good people, the implication is most of them are bad people. Yes,
oh my God.
Correct. That's why you're having a huge split. A big argument right now, at least online for MAGA, is whether or not Indians smell too gross to come into this country and should have H-1B visas, or whether we should keep them out.
I don't think you even believe what you're saying.
Okay.
because the whole they're rapists things. He says they're sending their worst. He's saying they're crooks, they're criminals, they're rapists. And he pauses, they're rapists, and everyone's like, oh wow, he's saying they are rapists instead
Do you think
of
that Biden?
they're
Do you think Biden was talking about all MAGA Republicans?
No,
Or all MAGA?
He called them ultra MAGA. I don't know what the hell ultra MAGA is.
What do you think he meant by that?
I definitely felt he meant me.
Okay.
I felt he meant me, that I am a
That's
threat
great.
to this
We're not talking about
country.
you. Do you think he meant most of MAGA?
I think he meant every person who listens to me.
Do you think he meant most of MAGA?
I think he meant most people who.
Do you think he meant most of MAGA?
I think he meant people who distrust the government.
Okay.
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right. Bye. Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.